Every nigga is a star. Every nigga is a star. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. And we are live, my people. I'm Drew Shade, and we are ready to, well, we're ready to meet a family of artists. Welcome, everybody. And we are live, my people. I'm Drew Shade, and we are ready to, I think that's me. A family of artists. That's my fault. I'm looking at too many things at one time. So sorry, everybody. Welcome. We are live. I'm Drew Shade, and we are ready to we're ready to meet a family of artists, people who are building a Black theater mythology, one that centers joy. The team, director, writer, and creator, Stevie Walker Webb, producing artistic director, Jarvis Green. We also have producer, Marie Cisco, producer, Raven Cassell, and filmmaker, Claudel Sherry. I am so excited to be here with this group of artists. I am so excited to be here talking with them about their experiences in Mexico and in Vermont. This is going to be such an amazing time. So we're here tonight to break open their capsule and hold critical space for Black storytelling. With you, tonight we'll be talking about the great lengths they've gone to carve out pockets of joy in order to come into this work, meditating on our art form and its inherently Black lineage, and of course, indulging in some Black joy. So get your notebooks. They are the Black Joy Project. And I am excited to speak with them. Hello, they're live in Mexico. There we go.
Hi.
I'm so sorry. I got so much happening right now, but it's such a pleasure to be in conversation with you. Let me put my hair up and get comfortable.
Thank you, Drew.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Excuse me. Look, I got so many tabs up. I was looking at myself and hearing myself and one and the other, and I'm like, what is that noise? But we made it through. And we got a lot of people in the audience right now. People are saying, what's up? Family, what's up?
Hey, Kyra. There's Black Joy family in the audience.
Yeah, I'm so excited, y'all. So these are the people we have here. Director, creator, Stevie Walker Webb. Producing, artistic director, Jarvis Green. We've already went through that. Producer, Marie Cisco. I want to say it again. Raven Cassell. And filmmaker, Claudel Sherry. So talk to me a little bit about where we are. What's happening right now? Like, here we go. I went through, okay, so first we're gonna start with Raven. Tell me a little bit about what's happening right now. What are we doing here? What is this Black Joy Project?
So we started in Vermont. We decided to spend a month working and embarking on an experiment, which was to create a Black theater methodology that centered joy. So we wanted to know what it was for our stories to not be the stories of Black trauma, and to see what it meant for us to, in the theater, to make work that centered our joy and that came from an authentic place. I think Black aesthetic, Black sensibility is particular. And so all of us have gone through white institutions for our training, and we were it's kind of the idea of shedding it.
Okay. Well, I know that we want to start with something in particular, a meditation of sort that we can all center ourselves and come together, and I can bring down my chaotic energy a little bit and sort of center the energy in the space. And that's what I would like to do. So I'm going to hand it over to Jarvis and the rest of this team here. And they're in Mexico. I feel like I put on my Mexico shirt so I can feel a little bit of a part of the team. And I'm excited. So I will hand it over to you.
Yes, Mexico shirt.
Yeah.
Great. Drew, can there's my camera. Cool. Beautiful.
Cool. So thank y'all wherever y'all are in the world right now tuning in, and thank you for everybody who's just been following this work and supporting this work. It's so important. Part of the work, a part of the premise of this work is that we should have joy, we should have calm, we should have peace, we should have ecstasy, we should have sensuality, we should have pleasure in our lives as we work towards perfecting the work, whether the work is your art, a play that you're writing, a film that you're producing, or just a relationship that you're working through with a loved one, that there should be joy inside of that. And so I want to just bring a little mindfulness into the space. So I want to make a little time. We're gonna get real comfortable and real cozy with each other, and be real country with each other, and real black with each other. So I want to give you some time. If you're someone who practices meditation and you have like an essential oil, a fragrance that you like to endow your space or your body with. If you're someone who likes to like Palo Santo or a copal or sage, whatever your fragrance is that brings you back to center, I just want to give you a second to just go in and get that, because maybe you didn't know we were going to do that. Just take a moment to get that. And while y'all are doing that, we here are going to light our Palo Santo and then also just share some lavender. I like to use lavender because it's a summoning smell. It brings in, some people believe it brings in the orishas, it brings in the ancestors. It's also just a calming smell if you're not into that. But I am. So I'm going to use a little lavender and I'm going to share that with my family here. Drew, what you got over there, man?
Right now, I have some sandalwood in my diffuser there.
Yeah, you can put it on your temples. Just a little bit if you have some.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pull that out. I also have some nutmeg. I think I'm going to use some nutmeg here.
Nice running fragrance. And I'm gonna light my Palo Santo as well, just because it's so clarifying. It brings in such great energy.
I have some of that as well.
There we go.
Okay. Oh my goodness. That makes all the difference. It really does. And the energy and the space.
Yeah.
As you can tell, my energy was a little chaotic at the beginning here. So this really just brings it down and centers us all.
That's all.
You're doing a lot. It's a lot to run these live stream things.
It is. It definitely is. Thank you for recognizing that. There's a lot of elements to go into it to make it flow just a little bit in the way that you would like. So, yeah.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all so much. I thank y'all so much for reaching out to me to be a part of this and to be able to facilitate this particular event and connection. It really what it is. It's a connection, and I feel connected with you all. It's like family. I've known all of you separately for a long time, and so to be able to share this particular space with you is a joy.
Cheers.
Yeah. So let's you can close your eyes if it helps to center you, whatever centers you, but let's just take a moment to become aware and present of our breath. And just to feel the power of your breath, how easy it flows to you all day long, in and out. It just flows. Feel the power of whatever it is that animates your breath. Some people call it God. Some people call it existence. Some people call it the Creator. Yahweh, Elohim, Obatala, Jesus. Whatever you call that great big force that animates your breath. just take a moment to use your awareness to express gratitude for your breath. We are at the crossroads of a new year, an ending and a beginning. We are in the space of infinite possibility. And I just want to take a moment to express gratitude for our breath. It's carried us all the way through this year. It's carried us all the way to this moment. We've traversed quite a year together. And thanks be to God that our breath never failed us. Feel your breath as it fills up your lungs. Is there somewhere in the body that you can send your breath to just to bring your awareness to? Like maybe you want to send it to your shoulders so that they can drop down. Or send them to the corners of your cheeks so that they can find a smile. Great being, great God, we say thank you for the power of our breath. We express gratitude that we still get to inhale and exhale. We express gratitude that it's brought us to this moment in this year. And we come not asking you for anything because you're good. So we good. And we have everything that we need. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more into the nose. Out of the mouth. Oh.
Thank you.
Yes.
Drew, we don't hear you.
I'm so sorry. I muted my mic, but I just need to take a moment. And while we do that, there is a poem that I'd like to share, that the Black Joy Project would like to share, I should say. And we'll do that right now. Whew.
Black theater is religion, soul stripping, time flipping, hip switching, rhythm. It's eye rolling and hip hop, double dutch and hugging the block. It's Big Mama and Granddaddy, Southern and City. It's peasy headed, ashy kneed. I'ma give you something to cry about. Play with me. It's tight cornrows, picked afros, greased scalp, and ballies matching your clothes. It's let me hold some, and when I get my taxes back, it's McDonald's money. It's all that.
I love that poem. Can you talk to me a little bit about the origin of that poem and where that came from?
It slipped
No,
out. It fell out.
it just fell out.
I ain't no poet. I think I'm a theater artist that like really just. I think poetry is really interesting, and I think I like to bring it into the theater, and so I've snuck into a few poetry clubs, and I've been in the poetry rooms in Clubhouse too lately. So yeah, I think I'm a theater artist that likes to bring theater to poetry space and poetry to the theater space.
And for the new people that are just joining us, we're going to go back and we're going to talk about what the project is. What is the Black Joy Project? Talk to me about what you did and what's happening here.
Yeah, I think Jarvis should share a little bit about our origin. Yeah.
Our origin. So I'm Jarvis. I'm artistic director of Jack Productions, and I've worked with Stevie. I've worked with Raven. I met Marie. No, actually, I met you before this project. I met you at the public, and I just met Zaka is what we call him, but his name is Claudel Shadi. And yeah, I run a theater company. For those of you that don't know my work, I run a theater company in White River Junction, Vermont. We produced new contemporary Black theater, and during the top of the pandemic, Stevie and I met 2 years ago at our New York Sway Festival, which is called Jag Fest, which is where we bring artists from all over the country to develop new work. And he was directing a play by Corey Erickson Tuttle, and that's what like ignited our friendship, our relationship, and so at the top of the pandemic, he reached out to me via text because I was like going through some health issues, and he was just doing a little sweet check-in to see how I was doing, and then we just started talking about what we're thinking about when it comes to making art during the pandemic, and he sent me this like really beautiful text about what if we like get together for a month or so, and I think the term that you use were like sanctified Black queer artists or something like that. Like, what if we can get together for a month and develop this like methodology where we can really engage with the question, right? And the question was like, can Black theater artists create theater art that isn't in response to whiteness or pain? Like, can we make art that is like truly centered in our joy? And I was like, yo, that's the most beautiful thing that I've ever like heard. And of course, at that moment, I didn't know how we were gonna like make this thing happen. But I was so moved by that invitation and that question. It kept me up at night, and I sent him a message the other day, and basically was like, the moment you sent that text, I knew that I would like get funding to make this project happen, because like it's like this idea of bringing spirituality back into our processes for making art and making theater. And so after like a couple texts, like I just started doing the work to kind of make things happen. We then brought Marie Cisco into the project, and once Marie got on board, like things just started moving. Yeah, after a couple conversations, there we go. after a few conversations with Marie and Stevie and my board, we were able to get funding to start developing this work, and it truly has been like one of the most ambitious, healing piece of like, art or theater making that I've ever. I even hate to use the word theater because I think that we're doing something more than making theater. We are healing. We are really trying to be creating a world, creating a life for ourselves that like really doesn't exist yet. And so that's what we're doing. Stevie and everyone else can talk more about it, but like that's the sort of genesis of the work and how we.
Awesome. And so when you gathered in Vermont, talk to me about what that first day was like. What was the expectation? What was that first day like?
So I was on the project as a performer. And because we were in a pandemic, we were masked, right? So like we had shield. So the bus ride, so we bused from New York to Vermont, and like we get on the bus and like you don't, like, some people, you don't know, you're just walking into a situation. And then like I always describe the bus as a capsule because it was a 7-hour bus ride, and all the apprehension and like anxieties that came from like, okay, I'm about to go live somewhere for a month with like 17 other people who I don't know. I don't know what this is going to be. So the bus ride was a capsule, but as the bus moved, it became and felt so warm. And then we got off the bus and it was like, we just like, were like jumping and laughing and hugging and excited to like really, like we were here, we saw the farm, we're on this like huge property. Most of us are coming from the city. Most of us are coming from months of confined space. And we, it felt like playing. It felt like we were kids. We were just like, we were playing. Yeah.
And so you gathered there to create. What did you make? What was the project?
That's a really great question, man. Before I answer that, though, there are just a few people that I really would like to just call out. They're sitting on this couch with us. It's a little bitty, tiny ass couch. We cozy on it, but they're sitting on this couch with us, and I just want to like call their names. They're people who were on the mountain with us, and who totally made and make this process and this art what it is. And that's Chris Herbie Holland, Maribel Martinez, Patrick Johnny, Mustaki Gawada, Tariq Ali, Blake Morris, Aaron Margaret Pettigrew, Jack Watson, Nadia Pile, Jordan E. Cooper, Toya Henry, and Khalif Williams. They're all people who believed and believe in this work in such and Jack Watson. Did I not say Jack Watson?
You said Jack.
I said Jack, but Jack twice. But there are people who are here on this couch, and I just would be remiss if I did not say their names because they're here with us. What did you ask though? You were asking
what do we do?
What do we do? What didn't we do? What did we do on the mountain? I think that the thing that we did on the mountain was we began to test this. We began to really like interrogate and question, how do we work? How do we work outside of, we know that we all came knowing that we wanted to tell stories about Black joy. And we wanted to tell stories that decenter white aesthetics in our work, but how do we go about doing that work? And I know some people probably watching this at home and they're like, oh, that's a simple thing. That's a very simple thing. You just don't talk about white people. You just don't censor white people. But this work really springs from Toni Morrison's Playing in the Dark, Whiteness in the Literary Imagination, which is one of my Bibles. I read it every year. It's one of the densest things I've ever read. It's a sacred text for me. But in that text, she proffers that this question of whether or not Black writers, Black story makers, Black cultural makers, whether or not we can exist outside of the white gaze. She argues that it is a serious question, and so serious that she spends, the entirety of that critical work trying to unpack why it's serious and how we almost have to practice it, how it has to be a devout, it has to be devotion, right? We have to commit ourselves to that act, because the colonization of our spirits and our souls, the cosmic psychic colonization, is so thick that we have to commit to it. And so we spent a month trying to figure out how to do that. And there are all kinds of secrets, all kinds of gems, all kinds of magic that came out of that. And most of that you will get to see in the film, which I'm really excited that people are going to get to experience, because that's all visual in the film.
And I think we should.
What we did, we got tattoos. This is the Black Girl Project logo. So we got tattoos. We ate a lot of food.
We ate so good.
We
had a chef. We didn't have to cook. We didn't
Oh,
have
wow.
food. So we had healthy meals, balanced meals. We were able to nourish ourselves through this work. And I think sometimes we overlook what wellness actually means for process, in order for us to sustain our bodies through this work, this heady work, this physical work. How do we do that? I think I care a lot about wellness. So that was something that I think should be a part of any work process. I think we should always be thinking about what we're putting in our bodies and how we're moving our bodies. And it's not easy. I mean, as Black folk, we also grew up on government cheese and WIC. I'll speak for myself. I grew up on that. And I think that's another tier of decolonization. And I think also what we did on the mountain was discover a whole bunch of tiers of decolonization, a whole bunch of areas and corners that we realized needed to be decolonized. So yeah, it just feels like
we went on a journey to try to figure out how we can be Black and unbothered, how we can be not giving a fuck itness in our Blackness, and also how can we excise this I really wanted to hear from Marie, because I felt like Drew, the impulse of this moment, this work springs from it's born in a moment of national global pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Container. And then in the microcosm of that, what they did in American theater, right? Marie sends this email that is the shot heard around the theatrical world, right? That is happening at the exact same time.
Tell us more about the email. What is the email?
I'm gonna let Marie talk about that. But in that moment, I remember getting that email. And then I remember seeing the We See You White American Theater movement kind of start to take its legs and all of that happening. And feeling at the time I was in Texas dealing with my brother's mental illness and trying to figure out how to use art to bring awareness to that. And also, how could I hold joy inside of this very terrible experience for myself and my family? So all of that was happening. And it was just so when I saw the We See You White American Theater movement, I was just Jesus, there's so much going on in the world. How is that even an important thing? Of course it is, but it was a moment that I had, and it was just simply something in my spirit said, we need a movement past this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Past the exercise of our rage. We know how to exercise our rage, and we have to keep doing that. We know how to express our dissent. We know how to live in deference too. But what we haven't practiced is how to create worlds beyond all of that. We haven't practiced that. And so it's just I was already interested in the We Don't See You White American Theater movement. That's the movement I was interested in. We just don't see you. We right now we're looking at what you have done, but now the next moment needs to be we're not looking at what you've done, because we danced off into the field, and we're possessed with a kind of drunken joy and a rancor for our own culture. And so we don't see you. Actually, we're building our own empire now. And so I feel all of that was happening, and then the blessing of having somebody like like Jarvis, my brother, to be able to just be like, hey man, like I have this crazy idea, and him being this queer Black artistic director creating work already that's in this vein. He'd already felt the impulse of the work even before I called him, and for him to say, I'm crazy enough and I'm ambitious enough to dream this new world with you and to imagine how this new world might exist. So it's like, when you ask me where does this work spring from, I think it springs from the moment. And I think that it was a gift to have Marie come on as a producer, because something had already called her to send that email. And so it's like, one question I haven't been able to really ask you is like, where the impulse for that came from, that email that was like a shot, in the dark, that like spoke to me in a way that would create this kind of work.
Yeah. I was home during the pandemic. I think it was around May. I was home in Atlanta, and I had been home since like March probably. So I was home for like 3 months. And obviously COVID was disproportionately killing Black people. So that was happening. And then George Floyd was lynched, right? And the protests were happening. And I was in communication with some theater friends, and one of them jokingly sent a text from of an image from, I think it was like WP Theater or something, and they had posted, and like, the world is burning, right? Black people are being killed in the streets. The world is burning. It's all we're thinking about or talking about. And they were posting videos from like a cocktail party. They had like a digital cocktail party, and it was just so tone deaf. And we kind of joked about it and laughed about it, but then I thought about it and I was like, this is fucked up. And then I went through their page, and they hadn't made any statements, about the protests and, in regards to Black Lives Matter. And then I started going on other theaters' pages and noticed that nobody else was saying anything. And these were companies that I know receive diversity funding, that love parading their Black artists, that have EDI initiatives and anti-racist initiatives and whatever, but yet were silent, right? And so I was like, I wonder who else isn't. So I just started making a spreadsheet, and I put them on it. And I was like, I wonder who else isn't saying anything. And I was like, well, I'm not going to start checking all these theaters. And so I sent it to first a small group of people, like you and like some other artists, maybe like 25 people. And I was just like, hey, y'all, I'm noticing this trend. Like, can y'all add to this list of any companies? Because I also noticed that Jordan Cooper had posted about The Public, and Erica Dickerson Dispenza had posted about something else. And I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it public. So I put it in the People Theater of Color. What is it? Facebook. Folks of Color, whatever. You know what I'm talking about, on the on Facebook. And I was like, hey y'all, they know what I mean. And I was just like, hey y'all, I've noticed that a lot of white theater companies aren't making any statements. And so if you notice anyone, post them. We need to remember when we're on the other side of this, who was silent when their brothers and cousins are killing our brothers and cousins in the street. And then, I think in like 2 days, there was like over 400 theaters from like all across the country, theaters I never heard of. Like people.
Like that blew up. That was a big deal.
Yeah. So that was the impulse for it. And then I started to sort of think about how I can create work that decenters whiteness, but also how I can sort of retrain my values around the work that I love and want to create, that doesn't have to already be sort of like have the stamp of approval of white people. Like, how do I view work as legitimate that white people haven't already said is legitimate? You know what I mean? So it's almost destiny when Stevie comes like, I have this idea, and I'm like, yeah. And then Jarvis and I spoke about it, and then in a few months I was in Vermont with them. So it just, Theater Folks of Color, thank you. So that's how it came about, and that's how I ended up here. And so I think a lot of Black artists are sort of thinking this way. And I was, Stevie and I were talking earlier, and I was saying to him, like, it's really a gift that Jarvis is able to offer and Jag is able to offer, to allow Black artists to be in a space where you can like be safe to learn new things and develop new skills, because that's what we're doing. Like, Zach Claudel, sorry. We call him Zaka, but his name is Claudel Cherry, okay? But we call him Zaka. So Zaka is the only one really who's like been like a full editing process. He's our editor. So we're all just sort of, been figuring out this post-production project. And so to be in a space where you feel safe to sort of figure that out and be like, I don't know how to do this, or like, maybe we do this, or maybe we do this. You can't really do that in white spaces because a lot of us have imposter syndrome, and so we feel like we have to perform knowing. JAG has offered us, when we were in a farm in the middle of Vermont trying to figure out what it was that we were doing.
Shooting gorilla,
you know what I mean? Herding sheep, but then also like doing the work, and like chasing chickens, but then like also doing the work. Freedom to just do that, like you don't get that in white spaces, or you feel like you have to code switch and perform. And so to be able to reflect on that, it's really a gift. And I hope that, this is sort of like the jumping point for more people to create spaces like this.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. That is the goal. I think that's all of our goals going into this particular industry, but we don't actually get those opportunities. So the fact that Jag and Jarvis were able to create that particular space for you all, and you all organically came together in that way, I think that's divine. I think that is what beauty is about and what art is about. So tell me, what are you looking to create now? That process has passed and that you have shared that experience. What are you taking from that experience and creating going forward?
So the main thing that we're creating is the experience itself. The experience itself is a creation, man. And I say that because when I first started, so I'm writing a methodological handbook that will come out with the film. And what the handbook is, it's a series of exercises, games, contextual essays that kind of because you can go study Linklater, you can go study the Chekhov technique, you can go study like all these different kind of white ways of being an artist in the theater.
Yeah.
And there are techniques out there that censor Black aesthetics. So it's not like I'm creating something that is completely new, but rather I'm continuing the conversation.
Yeah.
I'm standing on the shoulders of all of those Black creators who've been trying to chip away at the thing, and I'm saying here's a brick I can take out and give to everybody. And so there's a methodological handbook that's coming out. Some of the games, a lot of the games we got to test on the mountain to play those games. And then also use those games towards the creation of this film. So what you're going to see is a film that is an exploration of that work. What I tell you, man, it's explosive. The things that it's explosive. I can't even talk about it right now. But so there's a methodological handbook that's coming out. There is a play that is also it's the handbook turned into an evening of theater so that people can watch it. So when you watch the play itself is the experience of being decolonized, using joy, using laughter, using being Black and unbothered to decolonize yourself in the theater. It's a play that makes space for people to be ratchet in the aisle, because we need that in the theater. We need more of that. So there's a handbook, there's a play, and then there's a film. So there's these three massive things that are coming out of our work there. And the hope is that people will be able to take these things and use them to make art, and to also decolonize how they approach work, whether that be in an educational institution or in a church basement. So it's a lot. It's a lot coming out of it, man.
That is a lot. I'm blown away. Oh, go ahead, Raven.
I just wanted to point to the fact that in pursuit of the Black joy, we come up against so much. I think the shedding process became very evident because we were all on this high. I remember we wouldn't sleep on the mountain because it was FOMO. You didn't want to go to sleep because there were fires happening and folks were sitting around the fire, chilling, talking, and you don't want to miss that. So you end up staying up till 2, 3 in the morning and having to wake up again and do it all again. And then and there was just so much shedding happening. And I think for me, what was the thing I didn't realize or just didn't anticipate is that in pursuit of the joy, you come up against the trauma. And I just wanted to point to that because I feel the flowers of it all exists, but we have to work through so much.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, or like, I mean, I also experienced the project differently than them. I didn't come on the production team until after Vermont. So my experience of the month was as an artist, a performing artist. So yeah.
Okay. Anything else anyone would like to add? Okay. Well, we're going to move forward. I think we have the State of the Black Theater, and we talked a little bit about that with the, We See You, but there are so many other movements that are happening as well.
I'm more interested in like the like art, the artistic lens of that. Like what makes Black theater? What makes Black art? What makes Black aesthetic? What are the Black sensibilities that define and characterize us? Like, what does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that sound like? And if folks want to like chime in, like what maybe we can say like what is Blackness? What does Blackness look like? What does Blackness feel like? What does Blackness sound like? Hold space for that question. I think we should also like talk about where we come from in the world, because I think our like conglomeration, we're spread. We're from all different parts of the diaspora, and I think that speaks to the work and the like conversations that are had and the fights that we have.
That's interesting, Ray.
Oh, go ahead, Stevie.
I was gonna say like one moment that I will share that you'll get to see is I won't tell you how you see, but there's a moment in the film where you feel the entire diaspora embrace itself. And it's so beautiful. I mean, because when we arrived, there are literally people from every part of the diaspora, that engage in this work. And to see us like embrace, it was almost like, it was like reversing the Middle Passage. It was like reversing, it makes me think about that Baldwin essay, The End of the Fire Next Time, where he talks about in his letter to his nephew, when he's telling his nephew, you weren't meant to know your name. You weren't meant to be able to see yourself. You weren't meant to be able to to have what you have, what you do. And there's this moment that exists that's captured so well that Claudel Cherie captured so well. And I can't wait to share that with people, man. I can't wait for people to be able to look and see and hopefully feel that like permeate them as they experience it through the screen. That was just something that Raven was saying about the diaspora that felt apropos. Zaka, quiet.
Zaka, where you from, Zaka? Zaka!
I think
Where are you from in the diaspora?
I'm Haitian video artist, and I've been living in Vermont for around the last 10 years. And the Black Joy Project literally put me back on the map because I haven't been doing much work lately. And I think that especially I've realized that most of my work has been around Black stories. So for me to be back 10 years later to be working in this project, it was I don't know, I feel a lot of gratitude and sharing with and learning a lot from
Yeah, I mean, I think what the cool thing about Zaka is, and I like am like aware of, like or like I'm made aware of in our like we're living together. Just like the Black American experience is particular. Like there's like the four of us are like have the Black American experience, and like Zaka's American experience is not necessarily that. So like he's from, where are you from?
I'm from Jacmel. I'm from Jacmel, and I've been living in Vermont.
Jacmel what?
Oh, Jacmel, Haiti.
Say it loud.
I'm really close to home.
Yeah.
I think so. It's in the Caribbean, in the south east of Haiti. So yeah, and I've been living in Vermont for a while now,
Yeah.
and mostly doing different type of work, and
Yeah.
but now
It was like the day we were fighting about plantain that really hit me, because so Marie and I are from Liberia. Those two are from the South, the American South. The American South. And it was just funny because we were making our Thanksgiving dinner and we had like
Unthanksgiving.
it was an un-Thanksgiving dinner.
Unthanksgiving.
And we had like 8 plantains. And me and Zaka were fighting about how they were going to be prepared. And I was like, I'm West African. I'm not going to eat it if it's like this. And he like fought me till the end. And we had to make 3 different styles of plantain. And it was just the example of like, you know, what it means to like come from different parts of the world, but like also still be Black and also like have different meanings for what that means to us. And I think growing up as an American, as a Liberian American, but really more so as an American, the like width of the diaspora wasn't something I grew up with. And I don't think most of us grow up with. And I felt like I was a very worldly child, but really knowing what it means to be in relationships to folks who come from other shades of Blackness, other kinds of Blackness. I think that like to me, like I don't know that like Blackness is a thing, a point, like a thing on the map, but like Blackness is like the plethora of things. And so like, I'm just fascinated by the beauty of like all of our colors, because Vermont, we were from everywhere. And it was like, we were all just every day discovering what like South African Blackness looks like, or what Oakland Blackness looked like, or like, it was just a whole different, you got to like open a page in everyone's book. Yeah. And that kind of like, multiplicity, I think, is like what I feel like is often missing in art, that kind of specificity. I don't think because we have X amount of time on stage, like we don't got time to get deep into like, what's this, with, you know, what particulars of Blackness. So for me, like that's exciting for me. Like I'm excited to like make work that is so damn specific, that is like so in one corner that like I'm not here for everybody. Like that's not what it is. And like the space and the sustenance to have the ability to do that, that's not it. And like this project made me believe that I could possibly do that with my life. Yeah. This project changed my life, and like it was so hard to like acknowledge that in the beginning, because I was like, am I just being hype? Like, or what, like, how can I like tell that it changed my life right now? Like, it was just like every day we would wake up and like beauty. We were on a mountain and we were like in do-rags and like flower fields and like box braids and like chickens. Like it was that for me.
Box braids and chickens.
Box braids and chickens for me. Like, and so like, yeah. And I like, now I feel like I can say that it changed my life. And I see how it's changing all of our lives. And I'm just so excited. I think like what my place and what my purpose in this project is to like allow it to like change other folks' lives. And like, how can other folks like feel this thing that I'm feeling that I've never felt before, and that matters so much more than most anything in life right now for me. So I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think the closest we're going to get to is the film that you all have created at this present time. And so when can we expect to see this amazing work again?
You better.
Nah, but for real though, I mean, I'm the producer, the artistic director, the board of JAG. I don't know, maybe in like 6 months or so, like.
I
mean, making a film is crazy. Like, it's, I mean,
it is.
Yeah, I've never done it. And I'm like, obviously trying to hold space for everybody to just like explore like how they get the thing done. But knowing that like I'm working literally with like giants and like brilliant people, so there's this level of like trust that has to be balanced with like, yo, we gotta get this, we gotta get somewhere, but like not even trying to get somewhere, So yeah, maybe 6 months, maybe 8 months. We're gonna shoot for 6.
I think it's gonna happen quickly, because Drew, like, geez, Jarvis, I called you. What month was that? Was that July, August,
May?
We had our first
No, June.
July.
It was July. It was July.
How do you know?
If y'all need to say it all the time.
So I called a week after I talked to Jarvis. I was talking to Marie, like maybe like July, and then September, August. We like sent out the email to the artist. September, we land on this mountain. It's what is it? December now. We're already in post production. So just to like this to let you know how quickly like the power of our collective imagination is and how like expeditious this thing is moving. It's like, it almost feels like the thing that's enabling us to do this wants it to happen in this moment. So we're working, it's almost like, it's like something that's too hot to hold. We're trying to give it as quickly as we can. So I invite everybody to keep pressing us as we press ourselves to the fire to like get this out.
Listen, I will be the one to do it because I want to know, I want to see, I want to experience as someone that has worked in this industry going on 8 years now, and having experienced very little of this type of energy of Black spaces. I think that the most that I can say is that I've experienced in that way have been, the National Black Theater or the Billie Holiday Theater here in that city. And that's also still not what you've experienced, not the freedom and the exploratory essence of what you've experienced. And so I'm interested to see and dive in with you and follow that journey with you. And how can I get a piece of that? Can we recreate a little bit of that today? Is there a game? Is there something we can share? Something that we can sort of do right now?
They want a clip. You want to, today's the day, Ray?
No, they don't want a clip. I don't think they want a clip. I think
Musiki not 6 months, Jarvis.
The pressure is on us.
I will say this though, Drew. There will be a little bit. There'll be something beyond the play. I mean, the film that you have. There will be a play for you to experience, and then there's gonna be a handbook that you can like literally open up and like read those essays and play those games and use those games towards the creation of your own experiences, man.
Handbook is an interesting word for this. I feel like it's
Anyway. Yeah, no, come on, talk to me.
No, I when I think about the methodology, I just think of this like beautiful kind of handbook. I feel like it's like a flimsy little like a pamphlet that you can like pass out, but I feel like you're writing
like a journal,
these essays. Like I mean, it's I feel like it's going to be like a
textbook. I think I call it a textbook.
Cover, beautiful with images and
because it's going to live in institutions. Like it's going to live in the spaces that we're decolonizing, right? And it's going to also birth new institutions. And I think that just that alone, that's why I think that the project in itself, like why I believe in it so much, is because it's so wide foundationally speaking. Like I think it's a seed. I think it's the most fruitful seed because I see so many things from it. I think that's like why I scream so loud.
Well, I do have a little clip or essence here that I would like to share that I think gives a little bit of an essence of the joy you all experience. So let's take a look at that.
Okay.
Oh my God! It makes you really dizzy though, for real. Let's do it again.
Wow. What tell me what was happening right there? What was going on
We
in
just
that
been
moment?
crying ours out. It was right after Kyra's
I wasn't
session.
there.
I think it was either Muskie Galata Glover, or it was either her or Maribel Martinez, with two artists that were there. And someone just took it up on them. They were like, you know what, we need to roll down this damn hill. And the sun had just set. It was like beautiful. Like you could see the mountain in the back. The grass was green. It was just like the air there in Vermont is just so pure. We're on top of this mountain. And she was just like, we should just roll down this hill. And so like all of us ran up the hill and we just started rolling down the hill. There's so many moments where it's just like, we just would engage with things that would make us feel joyful and make us feel playful.
Can I say something real quick? I was just thinking about, like, I'm hearing a lot of language around our work, sort of like living in institutions to decolonize and to, you know, and even like doing this conversation tonight, like I like want to be like transparent that like I think our collective, like, you know, we're not here to like have conversations really about like how we want to decolonize people or talk about like how like whiteness has affected us and blah 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 blah. We know that like this isn't actually like the way we're going to be addressing some of these topics like aren't happening in our like art form, like in film, in theater. And
Right.
so we're not here, or we didn't go about this work, right, to like, you know, decolonize white institutions, or like think about ways in which we can like make white institutions like less like racist or less harmful. Like we really are just
Or
like
make them see us.
right, or make them see us, right? We really just know that like the way we're going about these conversations aren't happening yet within our,
Yeah,
you know, people are talking about it, right? But the way I think
the actual work.
yeah, I think it just hasn't happened yet, I think. And
I agree with you.
you agree?
I do.
I guess my question would be how, because you all have had an insular experience, how going forward will you re-enter into this industry, if you will, with this type of energy? How will that coming back into this industry? How will that affect you, and how will it affect the people that you're going to work with going forward?
That's so good.
That's scary too.
Well, I think part of it is that the industry is not going to be the same as we left it. So we're not stepping into the industry as we left it. We're redefining the industry we want to exist in and work in. So I think part of, you know, being in this space and being in isolation is us deciding what we want that world to look like and being in charge of creating that. So, you know, we're not stepping back into the industry we were in pre-corona. You know, I think a lot of the work that we are asking ourselves to do and people to do is internal personal work. You know what I mean? Like we talk a lot about institutions, but institutions aren't people. You know, the people in the institutions make the people. So if we start to change the way we think and the way we want to make work, then the industry automatically changes because we're in control of that. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. We have a question here in the audience too. Someone says, is the plan for all of the work of JAG going forward to incorporate the methodology that you've newly discovered? So will JAG be using this new method of being, of work?
Can we use your methodology?
Look, he's waiting for the answer. Come on, Stevie.
The answer is the work is just as much Jarvis as it is mine. And the same we talk about, like, I use the term midwife when I talk about being a director. I don't use the word director because I feel like what I'm doing is I'm holding the space for things to be born, right? And Jarvis and JAG, that entire institution, has and is holding the space for this work to be born, right? So he impacts on this work, even through conversation, even through just like being around him. He's influencing, you know, how it's developing. So to me, this is like, it's a no-brainer. Like the answer is, of course. The answer is, I would hope so. Like that's a question that I don't feel like I even have to answer. You know, honestly, I'm humbled by that question.
Yeah.
One thing that damn, I wanted to say something else about you. You were asking how are we going to, how is this work going to continue beyond this insular experience? I'm like I'm from the American South, as Reagan said, and in the American South, there are scriptures that your grandma reads to you when you're a kid. And one scripture my grandma used to always read is, "My word, thy word have I hidden in my heart, that I might not sin against thee." Right. And so like I feel like when you the text, this methodological handbook, right, that we're gonna share with people, for me, like you can read that. There'll be things in there that you can read, and there'll be mantras in there. There'll be things and tools in there that you can hide in your heart when you're walking into these spaces, you know, and having to like deal with people who don't understand your cultural come from, you know. Or you might find yourself, teaching this methodology in your rehearsal room, using it as a guidebook to help you to decolonize your own rehearsal space. And I'm not talking to someone who's like, I'm just decolonized. No, these are things that like over the last like 10, 15 years of my career as an artist that I've honed and that have gotten me through, you know, whether I'm working, like I said, whether I'm working in the basement of my church back in Waco, Texas, or in, you know, the Luesta Theater at the Public. You know, these are things that like that have gotten me through. So it's something that I want to give to the Black community, that words that we can hide in our heart, that we might not sin against our own Blackness. To borrow something from Grandma. So yeah.
Can I answer this question?
Yeah. Give me just one moment. I was going to get there.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Give me just one moment. That to me is phenomenal. That's something that we all want to experience. And people don't know Stevie Walker Webb is a director. He did the critically acclaimed Ain't No Mo. You also just did the Danye R. Love's Play 1 and 2. And those were two completely different pieces. But how did this particular way of being help you with those two particular different pieces?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I feel like it's so important to have when you're a Black artist and you have something that you want to say, you have to have somebody across from the table that you can look at that will say, yes, sister, yes, brother, yes, like keep saying that, don't dilute that, don't water that down, don't like, you have to have that energy in the room and in the space, right? Everybody on this couch is that for me. And when you don't have that, that's where this methodology will help you to enhance and increase that feeling, that sensibility, and will also be a fail-safe for if you find yourself in spaces where you don't have that. And so when you ask me, like, you know, how have I been able to do that? I think that at the end of the day, I don't ever feel like I have anything to lose. Like at any moment, I'm a theater director by accident, man. Like any moment, I could say something that someone won't like, and they could say, "You're never gonna work in this town again," and I would be fine.
Yeah,
I would be fine. I would take my ass back to the American South. I would run my own shit in theater, or I'll run an after-school program, or I'll be a social worker.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have anything to lose, and I think that feeling that I know whose I am and who I serve, and having that feeling in me, that's the thing that like keeps me grounded and keeps me well.
Yeah, there's a freedom in that.
There's a freedom in that, right? I've already done what, you know, I feel like I'm guided by the spirit. I try to be, you know, when I get it right. And so it's like, that's the thing that keeps me grounded. And that's the thing that holds me. And when my spirit ain't right, it's all messed up anyway.
Right.
So
yeah, I'm with you on that. We're on the same page on that, because in order for us to create in the way that we want to create, there has to be a sense of freedom, or it's contrived, or it's not really real in a way. And so with that, something that we need to have freedom is money. And so somebody's asking, forgive me if this is tacky to ask, but where did the money reside? Where the money reside for you all to embark on this process and care for yourselves in the ways that you did. We all know that money is a big thing. So how were we able to freely live and be? Where did the sources come from?
I want to add another show to his resume. East Side's Table, which was, yeah, we were gonna bring that show to New York, but the pandemic stopped all of that. But we will bring it eventually to New York. Lori, that's a really great question. I know I'm sitting here with these like brilliant artists and we're like kikiing and having a good old time, but like I am running a full-on company in Vermont, a nonprofit organization with a board of directors, with staff to raise the money to make this happen. And so that's where the money comes from. It is from Raven's language, it's from Stevie's brain, it is from Marie's producing skills that like, you know, get the funds to sort of like make this stuff happen. Like all of these brilliant artists, the board who literally are like staff members, and I have a staff as well. But yeah, I raised the money. I raised the money.
But that's
I raised the money. I raised the money.
Listen,
the money.
that's a big feat. That is no small task. And so we commend you for giving all of these Black artists the ability to be free in the way that they have been. And we thank you. We thank you because you've changed not just their lives, but you changed the lives that people will come in contact with them going forward. And so we thank you. We thank Jag Productions. We thank your team. We thank all of the people that are sitting on this couch and the team that was there in Vermont, the cast as well. So I am blown away. I'm actually, you know, because I walked into this, I'm like, I really don't know what's happening here. Like, I want to know so bad. And I'm walking away with more understanding, more feeling of gratitude for you all in your work. It's not that it wasn't there because I know you all personally, but to be able to really hear it from your own voices and to be able to really experience it in this particular way. We thank you. Thank you for taking the time to make this a priority. Thank you for taking the time to center us and our joy, because we are in an essence where our joy has been stripped from us in ways and we've had to grasp at straws to find it. And so I'm so excited to see more of this and more of the work that you're doing be poured on to our community. Yeah, I'm with that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you.
Yeah, I need a moment. I need a moment. I want to play this poem again for those that missed it. And we're going to come back and we're going to reset and I'm going to give it over to Raven from there. But let's play this poem one more time so that those that missed it can really experience it and hear how beautiful it is and the essence of who we are. I think that represents. So let's do that one more time.
Black theater is religion, soul stripping, time flipping, hip switching, rhythm. It's eye rolling and hip hop, double dutch and hugging the block. It's Big Mama and Granddaddy, Southern and City. It's peasy headed, ashy kneed. I'ma give you something to cry about. Play with me. It's tight cornrows, picked afros, greased scalp, and ballies matching your clothes. It's let me hold some, and when I get my taxes back, it's McDonald's money. It's all that.
Oh my goodness, Raven, does something for me. I can't explain it, but it does something for me. I'm going to give it to you. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Anything else that you would like us to experience? Anything else you would like to know? And also, if you have a question, drop them in the comments. This is your time. This is your moment. Yeah, that truth was it. Yeah, so talk to us.
Yeah, it just makes me feel very warm about like our Blackness, because so much, yeah, I think that's that. I think I also want to just like, I just want to like acknowledge what it means to dream, because as a dreamer, like I can see when like folks can't dream or like folks are stuck when it comes to dreaming. And I always tell Stevie, like, I just am so grateful for this dream, because like he just like dropped the dream and like where like we can all grab at it and hold at it and hold on to it, lift it up and dream with it. And I'm grateful for, I mean, I've known you for years, and I think you've always been a dreamer. And I think like that's what we have in common. We be dreaming, and like we might, and I also, you just like will say something crazy and not know how it's going to happen. And like everybody will hold on to it and will like make it happen. Or like dreaming, just the like audacious act of like believing and like envisioning. I think for me, like the envisioning is like what's really powerful, because it like puts your body in the space of when we dreamed up coming to Mexico. Like, you know, it was just like we should go and like finish the work. We should continue the work. Like we knew that like being in nature, being with one another, we saw what that magic did the first time. And so like it became mandatory for the process, the joy, the true joy, the idea of like living in like luxury, and like also figuring out how to make that luxury happen, right? Because like, yeah, like the reality is like, you know, the luxury is the thing we are like, that has been acquired. Because I also like, I have my own stuff where I also don't want to appear as someone who just like takes things for granted and I just like have things. I think it's important to name that, like, you know, I grew up on weight checks.
Yeah. And you know, Raven, like, I love what you're saying about the dream. Like, the last thing I just want to add to that is that you're absolutely right. Like that, like, dreaming is powerful. And Drew, I want to thank you because you're a part of this dream now, and everybody that's listening to this this conversation is a part of this dream. Like, it's a dream for all of us to live a more self-actualized, more ecstatic, more sublime life as we make our work. Work that will hopefully liberate the next generation even more than us. And so we're all a part of this dream, every single one of us, and all of us already doing the work to make that dream happen. And yeah, there's really nothing else to add to that. To be honest, I didn't really want to do this, Drew. So I like to let the work speak for itself, and then we'll talk back to the work. I feel really grateful to have been invited to talk about it, to bring some more clarity to it, to the people who are following it. And I just want to thank you guys for doing the work so that the dream can have a safe place to be born. With gratitude.
Yeah. I look forward to having you back and talking more about it. But go ahead, Jarvis. What were you going to say? You were going to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say thank you to I'm seeing so many of our like Vermont community showing up and giving shout outs, and like people from like all over. So I have immense gratitude for everyone. And also just like, obviously this work, to continue this work, right? Y'all want this film, right? I told y'all I have to fundraise. So feel free to go to our website and donate to the organization that is like providing space for these artists to really, you know.
And what's the website?
JADProductionsBT.com. There's a what do you call them? Heading or something, right? A link, a drop down that says support. And you can go right on that to support our work. But
awesome.
Thank you, Raven, for organizing.
Yes, thank you, Raven.
I don't want to do it either, but
they did not. They were the worst cast ever. Getting a bunch of producers to like do this.
I understand. Listen, I understand, but I'm so glad that you all did. I'm so glad you all were able to share with us tonight, and we look forward to having you back after the next phase, after the premiere in 6 months of the premiere of the film. And doing a red carpet, or you know, because I want to know more about this experience. I want to play a game or two. So I think that we can sort of make that happen. Raven, I'll talk to you and we'll make it happen. The team ain't with it, but we gonna make it happen. We're gonna force them to do it because this is just too beautiful to let go. And so yeah, I thank y'all so much. Any last words?
We love you, Drew.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Y'all, man. Thank y'all for being patient with me. You know, with my own work and the way that I do things, I'm so particular. And so I know that my energy can be a little chaotic at times. And then we started.
It's perfect. Because
Oh, thank you.
I do wanna say something because leave me alone. No, seriously, leave me alone. So no, I want to say something because yesterday or the day before yesterday, I lost my big cousin, and it is the first time I've lost someone that close to me. And she was a producer. She was an event planner and like produced. I mean, we like grew up her kind of making all of our experiences as a family, and I feel like she has been here with me right now, and she's here with me today, and like she supported my work so much. She read all of my words and she commented on all of my projects and like was just really there for me. Her name is Edwina Dean McCrimmon, and I just wanted to hold space and say her name because if she was here, she would have been in this live right now. Yeah.
Ashe. Space for her. And no space for you and your heart and your family. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Any other last words from anyone else? All right. Well, we thank y'all so much. This has been a beautiful project that I'm overjoyed to have experienced tonight. And I can't wait to experience more. I want y'all to give it up for each one of these beautiful producers and artists. Jarvis Green, the head of JAG Productions, Marie Cisco, Claudel Cherie, Raven Cassell, and Stevie Walker Webb. And also give it up to this cast of people that they So we thank you all. We thank you for joining us tonight. We thank you for spending your time with us. And until next time, we love you all. Have a good night.